Hi there. So if you saw my last video, I had some issues with the astrological dates for May. And so besides doing a tarot for the Pluto transit that's happening tomorrow, I'm also going to cover all of the May stuff just to make sure that everyone gets to hear it correctly and I cover my bases. I'm like the kind of person who says stuff wrong at first, but I can like hear when I say it wrong and then I go back and check and make more videos, right? Um, so tomorrow we're going to have the Pluto Retrograde in Aquarius event, and this is a time specifically for it isn't a scary retrograde thing like maybe people would interpret it. It's a time for reevaluating relationships across communities, not like close relationships, but like with a group and asking if the ones that you've developed in the past couple months are serving you, or if there are things that are not and that you're just doing for the sake of being in a group. So in this respect, the upcoming transit tomorrow and a few others that I'm going to talk about now are more about testing how things have changed after these larger transits that happened at the start of the year. For example, you might have already started to feel that on the 2nd, so a day ago, Neptune and Venus went conjunct in Aries. And so the vibe there is to like cling toward closer love connections as a way to deal with like dissolution of identity that might be going on. That's going to be going on for a while now that Neptune has entered Aries, and this is one of the bigger shifts. I'm going to get to the reading, and you can also skip ahead if you don't want to hear the astrological calendar, but I'm going to go through May now. Yeah, so on the 5th, so on Monday after the Pluto event, which is going to last until mid October, by the way, that this Aquarius retrograde happens. On the 5th, then, we're going to have Mercury conjunct Jupiter, Mercury in Aries and Jupiter in Gemini. This is just something to keep in mind. I would say this is a very lucky time for communication in business or in really anything. It's a good day to keep in mind. And then on the 7th, Mercury then hits conjunct with Chiron in Aries. And this is also a good time to talk about like if you're doing therapy or spiritual work or with close loved ones about early childhood pains or even like emotional pains that you might not understand where they come from. This is the effect of Chiron, especially with Aries. This talks about things that have to do with your core identity. Yeah, these are important dates. A lot is still happening in May that will set the tone for the rest of the year. Although the big stuff has definitely occurred at the start of the year, there's still this month now that's talking to us about the challenges that we need to be tested on. Okay, then we're staying with Mercury still. So we've talked about two Mercury events just now. And then on the 10th, Mercury is going to enter Taurus. And on the 12th, it's going to square Pluto. And so there will be a kind of shift towards, like, as I said, I like Taurus energy and we're in it right now, but it definitely has to be wielded when challenging like darker sides, such as when on the 12th you might have watch out for any sort of arguments or whatnot. And then on the 12th, to kind of amplify things more, there's also this full moon in Scorpio, which is all about transformation and rebirth and death. There is definitely to keep in mind if you have any sort of tension on the 12th to try to quash it, to try to like tamp it down because it's a really charged time. And then there's about 10 days where there's not a lot, but you can see there's still stuff going on, but it's like manageable things about like dealing with conversations and dealing with groups. On the 22nd, then we start Gemini season, which is, just the normal transitive things. And right now we're still in Taurus season and things are grounded. As Gemini season comes, there is going to be this big firework on the 25th of Saturn entering Aries. So we're moving out of Saturn and Pisces, but Saturn's going to do its weird retrograde motion for a minute. But this is the first time that Saturn has entered Aries. You can see everything's kind of starting over again from the Aries point right now. The further planets, the nodes. And the last time Saturn was in Aries was in 1996. And so, well, 1996 to 99. And this like momentary entrance into Aries is going to only last until um October, September, and then we'll go back into Pisces for this like kind of final Saturn test, which is also generational. If you're someone of the Saturn Pisces generation, keep this in mind. And so right now we're getting our first taste of what this means, and what it means is that there's going to be really big challenges happening according to how you create boundaries around your identity and whether the structures that you've used to create and manifest your identity are working, or you need to refigure them entirely. This is Aries after all. And because we're actually going to hit in July a conjunct of Saturn and Neptune in Aries, then there's going to be a lot of challenges about how your identity is structured, what it is, who you are, and what are the routines and activities that make you feel that way. But this won't fully develop for a while. Anyways, so this is kind of like a taste, a test, as I said. And then at the end of the month, Mercury on the 26th will go into Gemini. And so we're going to have by the 27th, we'll have Moon, Mercury, and Sun in Gemini. And so things, I think, will have a harmony going on and after these challenges at the beginning of the month and into that Saturn work at the end. So I hope that I can keep, keep on myself of like correcting myself about things. Like I'm definitely my own harshest critic in that way, and I'm just trying to like make sure to remember each video to get a little better. So right now, what I'm going to do is read for that Pluto energy. Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius right now. And so this is a reading for the collective, and so that's going to last. What did I say? Oh my gosh, until mid-October. So this reading will be valid until October, and so that goes pretty far out. I'm going to do like I've used this deck once before. It's my favorite deck. It's just the normal Marseille Tarot, and I'm going to do a Celtic Cross spread with a line of clarification at the bottom. This is how I like to read. So I hope I have enough room here. These cards are big. So I'm going to just put out first the cross. Yeah, I'm not going to have enough room for the clarification line, but we're going to squeeze it in. Don't worry. Okay, so the cross first. In the center here, we have since this is a group reading, this is a reading for the collective, but also it vibes with, whoever's listening. It is, we refer to as the querent, or the person seeking the question. The Ace of Swords reverse is someone who's stuck in action, looking for action, and specifically with the Page of Swords covering it reverse. This is this is quite beautiful. This be speaking to looking for action in a connection or communication that's not occurring. The sword being our air sign, communication is definitely something that I feel out of that. And right now, the blockage of focus seems to be, and if we're reading for the collective, it might be that like there is like less of an impetus towards action, and therefore a question of why you're even participating in a group in the first place. This is kind of interesting how the Ace of Swords and Page of Swords fall together like that. I love these cards. They always like to speak really loudly. So on the left here, we have what was the past that led to this situation now. And with the Four of Cups, you can see like our man denying or contemplating over this offering. And looking down at the cups on the ground, it seems to be a state of confusion and an inability to decide what to do. But on the other hand, because the card is reversed, it also speaks to maybe not even engaging in this indecision any longer. Perhaps like a state of acceptance is like this is as far as I can go status quo feeling. And that would kind of explain this like lead into inaction and inability and non-communication being not something entirely negative but neutral as like something that was expected out of this past situation. And we can see here with the Seven of Pentacles reverse is that we have a similar situation. So this would be the foundation of what is another way to look at the foundation of what's going on in the present, besides looking at the past. And it seems like the again this man who's looking down, but reversed, speaks to there being no longer an interest in taking stock of what's around, but maybe moving on from that, from moving on from counting how many cups you have, and from moving on from counting how many pentacles you have. It's not as though you've lost them, but to say that your eye's not on them because there's nothing drawing attention there. When we look at the top of the cross, this tells us where these energies are leading if this were like the one timeline. But this isn't necessarily the future because a lot of things happen. But if this everything in the present played out as it were, we would lead to this Eight of Cups, which is resignation. And I think this speaks very clearly. You can see the walking away now from the amassed cups. People ought to take stock of how their relationships are less about making firm connections and more about just collecting them. If this is what we're reading for the Pluto Retrograde in Aquarius from these cards. But it's interesting with the Magician as our card on the right, the future, we basically have this message of pure manifestation. This is one of the strongest places that the Magician and face up in this very face down reading can fall in this deck, can fall in this layout. And this Magician just speaks to there being like limitless possibilities when you make time for things that aren't just collecting maybe friendships or collecting communal activities or collecting prestige maybe, or even money for the sake of hanging out with people or having a name in a group or prominence in a group. But when you do so, and I think the missing link here, and turn inwards, which I think this guy is doing, but not in like a hermit way. He's kind of going on a journey and the moon is watching, the sun and moon. Then, yeah, like infinity, like everything's open to you. Okay, so let's see if this is now confirmed when we turn to the staff. So I'm going to just lay it out first. Interesting. Oh my gosh. When do I not draw the devil, y'all? Or am I going to have enough room? Let's see. Ah, okay. These cards are big. I want to be able to like see the two there, but I did not plan this super good. Okay, there we go. I think you can see it's just like wobbly. So everyone reads a little differently. What I like to read is the bottom of the staff. Here is you in this situation, how your forces in this situation here of our cross. The bottom of the staff would be how your energy is vibing, if it reinforces the situation or is like acting against it. For me, strength reversed is perfect for explaining this axis here of just inability towards action and maybe actually a lack of interest, not to see it as like not having strength, but just not using strength because there's no reason to. You can see the infinity symbol, of course, in our strength card. And it's always interesting to look at how it matches with the Magician, with that alchemical philosopher's stone strength. This is Leo. The Magician is Aqua, Aquarius. Is that right? No, I can hear myself saying I have to look that up. Aquarius is the star. And I'm blanking on the Magician right now. Actually, we notice that we have like one card of a person card, the Page of Swords here. It's like, okay, it might be the action of the one person that's being focused on, even though I'm doing a group reading. It definitely, now that I have the staff out, we'll clarify later, but there is a distinct lack of other cards here that I point to people. It seems to be maybe a focus on one person. Anyways, so yeah, Strength reversed, leading into now the Devil reversed, where this card I read as the influence of people around you on the situation. And yeah, it's interesting. It's to say that, like, maybe if the groups you're dealing with, or the one person you're dealing with, because I have to acknowledge that I've forced this to be a group reading here, but it doesn't seem to want to be. It could be that the way you vibe with the group depends on just the communication with one person that you're waiting for. That there is a toxicity, but it's not even like an effectual one, or one that makes sense anymore, or that produces anything. That the devil as master is not being manifested, but the devil as overbearing and manipulative is. And it meshes with this inability of strength. It's like there really isn't a fight or tension going on. There's just kind of not a true engagement of the intention of attention and intention. Whereas this is just yeah, I would say a status quo like state that we're reading in the present. I feel like that all is very clearly spelled out. And then so here's the unexpected element that comes into play. Number the second to last in the staff. The Two of Swords is choice, face up. Like, it's really clear, like, how this deck is showing us face up and face down. There's a choice to be made, and I think the choice that this person is making is to leave a particular group or person, or the way that a relationship with a person has affected a group. And when making that choice, again, we see, and then so here's the ultimate outcome, another way to look at the future in this spread, in the Ace of Pentacles. And there's that communication that the Ace of Swords and the Page of Swords are waiting for. Communication or action or anything, really, manifestation, like the Magician says here. But again, it's like making the choice to give up on something that's not working in a group is going to be the thing that opens doors. This is how I would see it. And so it seems like if we're thinking about the collective energy of a test coming from the faraway planet of Pluto, people are going to pass this test. Here's the question. And here's, you at the table, like doing your alchemy, doing your homework, doing the test and passing it and holding the candle up. I know the answer. And, here's the math going on as you add up negative infinity and positive infinity, and you find that there's more positive in the end, and you get to start over again from this negative one at the beginning to this positive one here. So now let's lay out what I like to do is a horizontal axis that responds to 4 lines. There's totally different ways you can do this, but there's 4 lines that I'm going to ask now for clarification for from this cards. And what I want to ask about is first the past, the present, the future, and the staff itself. Okay. This is just kind of one of the ways that I like to read. I like to just get a little extra out of the cards. I think for that, I think these cards always talk really beautifully. Here's the extra person here. But I'll get to that in a second. We were looking for at least one extra person, Here's the other Leo, Libra energy. Leo, it's like saying that there's like Leo going on. This might be our Mars and Leo vibing with. I'm a Leo sun. If you're a Leo listening, maybe you need to hear this. Again, we see that this is just like, it says like you already drew strength reversed here. Okay, I'll show you again. Here's the sun reversed. It answers all this. I don't even want to gild the lily there, but vibing with this particular line. It's like, it's not even taking the cup, it's not even taking the sun, it's not even turning to the energy. Maybe we're moving out of winter now, collectively, and so if you're on the Western Hemisphere at least, and um, the Northern Hemisphere, sorry, and like, yeah, that like the power that is inside is not being used. This seems very clear. And here's our question that I just said. It's like you just explained the question. I'll show you it again. Okay, here's the question. Are you ready? Are you ready for the judgment call about like how to structure your future going forward? Do you have all the answers about the situation you're in with a particular group or a person, or how these things relate? And um, can you pass the test? So interestingly, when we get to the future now, we have the Knight of Pentacles. So this could be a couple of things, because this gives us the most clarification about what is the nature of the manifestation energy here that seemed infinite at first, and we're trying to narrow it down. And I would say that with the Knight of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles in the top line here that we're looking towards, something happening internally that has to do with your own career or money situation benefiting. And it might have to do with like more of a private enterprise, or like you're your own boss situation. Because I'm looking at this and I'm seeing like a movement away from attachments that aren't really causing growth, and like more of a turning inward, and that seems to be lucrative as far as I can tell. Another way to read this, and I'll get to it more in a second, is that you could also be meeting someone new who has like some sort of business or money, and that might lead you to, because the Ace of Pentacles, and here's our guy holding our knight holding the pentacle itself, which is very interesting. It and that might point to like like a foot in the door for a new group or a new job, or something like that, or a new collective group that has better opportunities for you. A third way to read this is that our Page of Swords here, that may or may not be because there's only two people cards here. And the way that I always like to read a Page of Swords going from and then a Knight of Swords, is to read them as one person sort of evolving. It's like maybe there is a wish to see an evolution in a relationship, and it can come true. The person needs to put down their competitive and like airy, heady, like non-emotional nature, and focus on stability and a bit more of it's hard to describe the pentacle feeling. I guess, yeah, it has a relationship to the black, like the black magic, dark arts, and this sort of spirituality, but it's a very grounded one. But yeah, the issue here I always feel with air quality is with being too logical sometimes, and we are in this whole question asking mode, and maybe as you're looking for your answer, you look for something that has to do most with sustainability, because this is the pentacle energy, and that will guide you to where you need to go. About there being a potential for a relationship, I can't help but not read it, because here on the clarification of the staff itself, we have the Three of Swords reversed. It would suggest to me getting over some sort of bad relationship or breakup, because it's reversed, right? So it's not like you're in the thick of it, but of course you've been through it and are moving on. And that might be sort of part of the key here. It's like maybe a particular community interacting with it like kept you in a sort of cycle with someone, or I'm not sure how to totally read it. It's going to be different for everyone. Or you might like have a bad boss or something, and like you're just waiting for like approval, or like a promotion is just not coming, and you finally have to say, okay, it's not just the community, but like a particularly one person. And it's saying like, as you process leaving this, and you process, the not having strength and this kind of incapable devil, and you make your choices, that you will come to a better opportunity. And it may or may not be an opportunity in love. It may be an opportunity in business. It's hard to tell. For the sake of clarity, I will draw one more card here between these two. What is it here? Is it love we're talking about, and groups? Are we talking about career and finance in this manifestation. The Knight of Wands. Okay, well, here we go. I think this deck is really funny the way it talks. Yeah, I will definitely end here. And I've pulled a lot of cards and I've asked a lot from the deck. But this would say that this would point towards the love energy and saying that maybe this person, it's so interesting because I talked about the evolution of page into knight, and maybe this person that someone is waiting for finds or looking to find, you could find a better boss, a better employee, a better like connection that bridges your different groups. It might be even about finding friend groups and finding the person says like, hey, like, do you want to meet? I have this club or activity I do. This person you're looking for that you're not finding here, you're going to find it in an evolved form in both directions, like in terms of sustainable, grounded energy and also this charging, fiery energy as well. This is a good sign as we move into the Saturn into Aries that's coming up. I'll talk about this more as I go forward in my future readings, but this points to sort of a conjunction of Saturn, Capricorn, Earth qualities with fiery Aries at the same time, and it's not looking negative. It's looking like even though Neptune is there asking questions, we're already in this mode of we're in the test, we're in the exam, we were prepared for this, we started this year, and we can actually hit the ground running. So yeah, I hope that I can show you like how I do different readings and different spreads and try to correct myself as I go forward and that we learn together. So thanks y'all.